The colony outskirts were always silent at night. Almost too silent. Like the darkness carried old memories that refused to die. Jason Hale walked through the ruined sector with a steady pace, his boots crunching over broken stone and dust. He wasn't a soldier or a hunter. He was just a human relief worker searching for survivors after a border skirmish. And tonight, a weak distress signal had led him farther than usual. When he pushed aside a half-collapsed steel door, cold air rushed at him. Inside the structure, shadows gathered in the corners like frightened ghosts. His chest lantern cast a soft circle of light. Dust drifted in the air. Debris lay scattered across the floor. But what made him freeze was the small, trembling sound from the far wall. He lowered his lantern. There, curled in a fragile shape, was a young alien woman. Her skin was pale violet, with faint shimmering lines across her arms, markings that should glow bright in healthy members of her species. But hers were faded and cold. She held herself, like she was protecting something that wasn't there anymore. Jason approached slowly. "Hey, can you hear me?" She lifted her head slightly, her silver eyes cloudy with exhaustion. Her lips parted, and her voice came out raw and shaking. "Bury me here. I'm not worthy of breeding. Leave me." Jason stopped in shock. Her words weren't harsh, they were filled with heartbreak. Like she had already accepted a fate she never deserved. He knelt down, not touching her but close enough for his voice to reach her clearly. "My name is Jason. I'm human. I'm here to help, not to hurt." She stared at him with disbelief. "No one helps the broken. My body failed the life inside me. My people cast me out. I am nothing now." Jason breathed slowly, trying not to show the anger rising in him at how she had been treated. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She hesitated, almost ashamed to say it. "Saren." Jason repeated it gently, like handling something precious. "Saren, you don't deserve to be left here alone." But Saren shook her head, her voice trembling as she whispered, "I lost my child. My line ended with my failure. For my people, this is unforgivable. A carrier who fails must disappear." Jason couldn't hold back his frustration anymore. "That's cruel. Losing someone doesn't make you worthless." Her eyes widened slightly, surprised he didn't look away from her. "You don't understand our customs." "Maybe not," he replied. "But I understand grief, and this isn't your fault." Saren looked at him like she didn't believe humans could think that way. She turned her face toward the cold wall, her breathing shallow. "No one should carry me out. I don't deserve to walk among the living." Jason made a firm decision. "I'm not leaving you." He removed his jacket and gently placed it around her shoulders. Saren stiffened, shocked. "You shouldn't give warmth to someone who failed. It is forbidden." "It's not forbidden for humans," he said calmly. "But I am worthless," she whispered. Jason shook his head. "You're alive. That's never worthless." Her breath wavered. She pressed a hand against her stomach, as if she still felt the memory of the life she couldn't save. Jason guessed she had been sitting here for days, maybe without food or water. "Saren," he said softly, "can you stand if I help you?" She closed her eyes. "No, my strength is gone." "Then I'll carry you." Her eyes shot open, full of shock. "You can't. You shouldn't." "I should," Jason said, "because you need help." Without waiting for her to argue again, he slid one arm beneath her knees and another behind her back. When he lifted her, Saren gasped, her hands flying to his chest as if she expected to fall. "You are carrying me," she whispered, almost in disbelief. "A human is carrying me." "Yes," he said simply. Outside, the wind scraped across broken metal like claws. Saren shivered and tucked her head against his shoulder not to cling, but because she was freezing and her weakened body couldn't handle the cold. Jason tightened his hold slightly to shield her from the wind. "Just a little more. We're close." Saren's voice trembled. Why do you speak gently to me? I am a failure. I cannot carry a future for anyone. My people said my spirit has no worth. People. Jason looked down at her. Your worth isn't measured by one loss. She blinked hard, her throat tightening. No one has said that to me. Ever. He didn't answer. He just kept walking. After a long walk through the wreckage, Jason reached his small transport skimmer. He set Saren inside and wrapped her in a thermal blanket. Her eyes fluttered at the sudden warmth. You treat me like I matter, she whispered, almost confused. But I don't. You matter, Jason said. And I'll keep saying it. Until you understand. The skimmer lifted off with a gentle hum. Saren stared out the window at the ruined sector below them. Jason, she whispered hesitantly. Do humans help strangers this way? Sometimes, he replied. When those strangers need someone. My people say humans act without logic. Maybe that is why you saved me. Jason chuckled softly. Maybe we act with something else. What? Saren asked weakly. Heart. She stared at him again, long and silent, like she wasn't sure if she was supposed to believe such things. Minutes later, Jason landed on the top deck of the relief center. He carried Saren once more, and though she remained stiff at first, she allowed herself to lean slightly into his arms. You could have left me, Saren whispered. I told you to leave me. But I won't abandon someone who's hurting. You don't know me. I know you're someone who deserves care. Saren's breath trembled again. You speak like my story isn't over. Because it isn't. Inside the recovery room, Jason laid her gently onto a soft bed. She winced at the unfamiliar comfort. Her hands trembled as she touched the blanket lightly. I do not deserve this treatment, she whispered. Jason sat beside the bed, not touching her unless she reached first. You deserve safety. Everyone does. Saren bowed her head, eyes wet. My child never saw light. I was told I brought dishonor, that I could never belong again. Jason's voice softened. You lost someone. That pain doesn't take away your right to live. Saren covered her face for a moment, trying to hide the emotion rising inside her. You speak with certainty, but I don't know how to believe it. Then let me believe for you, Jason said gently, until you're strong enough. Her hands dropped slowly. No one has ever offered me that. Jason smiled faintly. Well, now someone has. She studied him for a long time, her eyes softening with something unsure yet hopeful. Jason, please don't leave yet. I'm right here. Saren swallowed hard. I never thought a human would be the one to find me, let alone carry me from the dark. Jason rested his hand on the edge of the bed again, letting her see he wasn't going anywhere. You'll never have to face darkness alone again. A single tear escaped her eye. Maybe, I want to believe that. Jason nodded. That's enough for today. Saren's breathing steadied for the first time in days. She watched him like a fragile piece of light returning to her world. For the first time since she was abandoned, she didn't ask to be buried. She didn't call herself worthless. She didn't whisper that she should disappear. Instead, she whispered one small, trembling sentence. Jason, thank you, for carrying me when I could not carry anything. He smiled gently. You don't have to carry anything alone anymore, Saren. Her eyes closed slowly, not from fear but from the first peaceful rest she had allowed herself to feel. Saren woke slowly, as if the world around her was no longer crushing her chest. Her eyes opened to soft lights, warm air, and the quiet hum of a medical stabilizer. For a long moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then she turned her head and saw Jason sitting beside the bed, half asleep in a chair that looked too small for him. He had stayed the whole night. She blinked again, unsure if she should wake him or remain silent. He looked tired, maybe even more tired than she was. His jacket was folded, neatly beside her bed, cleaned and dry. Someone had tended her wounds, hydrated her, and restored her body temperature. And that someone was clearly him. Saren lay still, watching him. Humans were strange. They did things no one expected. They showed kindness without reward. And Jason showed a type of patience she had never seen. She shifted slightly, causing the blanket to rustle. Jason's eyes snapped open instantly. "You're awake," he said softly. "Yes," Saren whispered, her voice still weak but steadier than before. He smiled gently. "How do you feel?" Saren tried to find a correct answer. No words existed in her language to describe this feeling. "I don't know. My body feels warm. My head doesn't hurt. And I am still alive." "That last part is what matters most," Jason said. Saren looked down at her hands. They no longer trembled. The silver markings on her arms were still dim, but they didn't look lifeless anymore. "Did you stay here all night?" she asked quietly. Jason rubbed the back of his neck with a small, embarrassed smile. "Yeah, I didn't want you waking up alone." Saren felt something strange, like a soft pulse under her ribs. "Humans are strange creatures." "We try," Jason replied. She almost laughed. But her breath caught midway. Not in pain, but in emotion. "Jason, my people never stay beside someone who has failed their lineage. They treat them like shadows." "Well," Jason said calmly, "then your people are missing out." Saren stared at him, unsure how to respond to such simple honesty. A soft beep sounded from the stabilizer, showing her vitals improving. Jason glanced at the screen. "You're getting stronger," he said. Saren lowered her gaze. "That scares me." "Why?" he asked gently. "Because strength means I must face what happened." Jason didn't interrupt. He let her speak. "My child. I lost them during the conflict. My body could not protect the small life inside me. My people said it was a sign of weakness. They said I dishonored my lineage, that I must not try again, that I must not hope." Jason shook his head firmly. "No one should say that to a mother." Saren's breath broke softly. "I never even saw their face. I never gave them a name. And now, I fear the only thing left of them is the pain." Jason leaned a little closer. "What happened wasn't your fault. You deserve healing, Saren, not punishment." She closed her eyes, letting his words settle into places she didn't know existed. "Jason," she whispered, "when I was alone in that ruined district, I thought my story had ended. But you carried me. And I'll keep helping you walk forward," he replied. Saren looked away, overwhelmed. "I don't know why you do this." Jason smiled faintly. "You don't have to understand right now. Just rest." Saren nodded weakly, but she wasn't tired. She watched him as he checked the stabilizer again, adjusting settings with practiced hands. He wasn't a doctor, but he clearly knew enough to care for injured survivors. A few minutes passed quietly. "Jason," Saren said suddenly, "what is your world like? Humans speak of hope so easily." Jason chuckled softly. "Our world is messy, loud, chaotic. But we try to take care of each other, even when things are hard." "That sounds impossible." "It's not always easy, but it's worth it." She studied him, wondering how a species so chaotic could be so gentle. Jason stood. "Let me get you some food. Your body needs energy." Saren stiffened instantly. "No, please wait." He paused. "What's wrong?" She swallowed hard. I don't want you to leave yet." Jason softened immediately. "Okay, I'll stay." Saren exhaled slowly. "I spent so many days alone. If you go now, I fear my mind will return to that darkness." "I understand," Jason said. "I'll wait until you feel safe." Saren gave a small nod, relieved more than she expected. After a moment, Jason pulled a chair closer so he could sit within arm's reach. "Saren, I want to ask something, but only if you're okay talking about it." "You may ask," she whispered. "Why did your people leave you in that ruined place? Why not help you heal?" Saren looked away, shame tightening her throat. My lineage is known for strength, honor, for carrying life successfully. When a carrier loses their first child, it is believed they bring misfortune. They fear I might carry weakness into the future. Jason's jaw tightened. That isn't misfortune. That's grief. That's trauma. No one should be exiled for that. Saren's voice cracked. You say that so easily. But in my culture, once someone is labeled unworthy, they are treated like an invisible being. Well, Jason replied gently, you're not invisible to me. Her breath shook unexpectedly. You speak with warmth humans aren't known for. Maybe I'm just different, he said lightly. Saren looked at him again, really looked. You are kinder than I imagined humans could be. Jason shrugged modestly. And you're stronger than you think you are. She blinked, startled. Strong? And you're still here, he said. That takes strength. Even if you don't see it. Her throat tightened again, and she looked away quickly. Jason noticed. You don't have to hide your feelings. Saren whispered. My people told me tears are signs of weakness. Well, Jason said softly. Humans think tears mean you've been holding too much inside. Saren looked at him slowly, almost like his words were reshaping something inside her. Jason, she whispered, may I ask another question? Of course. When you carried me, when you lifted me like I was not a burden, what did you feel? Did you feel pity? Disgust? Obligation? Jason's expression softened even more. I felt someone needed help. So, I helped. That is all? That's everything. Saren took a deep breath, her voice trembling. In that moment, I felt like someone finally saw me. Not as a failure. Not as an exile. Just a living being. That's exactly what you are, Jason said. A living being who deserves safety, and comfort, and a future. She looked down at the blanket again. Do you really believe I still have a future? Yes, Jason answered immediately. I truly do. Saren's eyes glimmered with a hesitant light. A soft knock interrupted the quiet. Another relief worker peeked inside. Jason, everything fine in here? Jason nodded. Yeah, she's awake. The worker smiled politely. If she needs anything, medical monitors will alert us. Then they left, closing the door gently. Saren observed the exchange with curiosity. Your people treat even strangers with respect. We try our best, Jason said. My heart cannot understand it, she whispered. It doesn't have to right away. Jason finally stood again. Can I bring you food now? You need strength. Trekked. Saren hesitated, then nodded, slowly. Yes, but please return soon. Jason smiled warmly. I won't be long. When he left, Saren watched the door for several seconds, feeling a strange warmth in her chest. She wasn't used to anyone returning once they walked away. But Jason did return, carrying a tray of warm broth, nutrient bars, and water. I brought things easy to digest, he said. Saren sat up slowly with his help. Jason held the bowl close enough for her to take it. She sniffed it carefully. It smells warm, she said softly. That's the idea. She took a small sip. Her eyes widened slightly. It tastes gentle. Jason laughed. I've never heard food described that way. Saren took another slow sip. I didn't think I would ever eat with someone again. You'll eat many meals from now on, he assured her. Saren felt that soft pulse inside her again, something like hope, unfamiliar and fragile. After she finished half the bowl, Jason set it aside. You did great. Jason. I'm scared, Saren whispered suddenly. I feel like something is changing inside me. Something I haven't felt since before the loss. Jason sat beside her again. What do you feel? A small warmth, Saren said quietly, as if my chest is remembering how to breathe. Jason smiled gently. That's hope. Saren repeated the word softly. Hope. Yes. It means you're starting to believe you can live again. Saren lowered her eyes. And, is that allowed? Even for someone like me? Jason's voice became soft and steady. It's not only allowed, it's the beginning of your healing. Saren felt her breath tremble, but not from fear this time. Jason. Thank you. For carrying me into a world where I can feel hope again. He touched his hand to the edge of her blanket. You're not walking this path alone anymore, Saren. She stared at his hand, at his presence, at the warmth in his voice. For the first time, she whispered words she never thought she could say. Maybe, I want to live again. Jason gave a warm, steady smile. Then we'll make sure you do. Days passed quietly, each one adding a thin layer of strength back to Saren's body and a deeper layer of calm to her heart. The relief center became a world she never imagined. She would experience a place where no one judged her, no one whispered about her failure, and no one avoided her presence. Instead, people greeted her gently, checked her progress, and offered warm smiles. But the one who stayed closest was Jason. Every morning he came to her room before starting his shift. Every evening he returned to sit with her, even if he was tired. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they simply shared a peaceful silence. Saren didn't understand why a human would give so much time to someone like her, but every time she tried to question it, Jason's calm expression answered before his words did. You're not alone, he would say. And somehow, she believed him a little more each day. One afternoon, after Saren's strength returned enough for her to walk short distances, Jason guided her through the center's greenhouse garden. The air smelled like fresh plants and warm soil. Sunlight filtered through the glass panels, covering everything with a soft glow. Saren touched a leaf gently, surprised by its texture. It feels alive, she murmured. It is, Jason smiled. Humans like growing things. Helps remind us that life keeps moving forward. Saren hesitated before speaking. I thought my path ended, that there was no moving forward for me. Jason walked beside her, matching her slow pace. But now? Saren inhaled deeply. I feel something, small but steady. Like my spirit is waking up after a long night. Jason nodded. That's healing. But what if my people find out I survived? She asked quietly. They might not want me back. They may reject me again. Jason stopped and turned to her. Saren, you don't need their approval to exist. You don't need anyone's permission to live. Her eyes softened. You say these things like they are simple truths. Because they are, he said. Saren looked away, overwhelmed by how easily Jason changed the shape of her thoughts. Jason, she whispered. When I fell into despair, I thought no one in any world would ever hold my hands again. But you carried my pain without asking anything. Jason shook his head. I didn't carry your pain. I just helped you carry your life until you could hold it yourself. Saren blinked slowly, the words settling deep inside her. They walked farther until Saren grew tired. Jason immediately offered his arm, not forcing her to take it but waiting patiently. Saren finally rested her hand on his sleeve, her fingers trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the unfamiliarity of support that felt real. When they returned to her room, Saren sat on the bed quietly, looking down at her hands. Jason, she said with a soft voice, may I ask something? Of course. She hesitated before speaking again. When you look at me. Jason didn't answer right away. He wanted to give a true answer, not a rushed one. I see someone strong, he said finally. Someone who survived something terrible. Someone who deserved kindness. Long before she met me. Saren swallowed hard. You don't see me as broken? No, he said firmly. Her voice shook. My people no longer call me a carrier. They say I cannot bring life into the world. They claim I have failed in the most important role of my lineage. Jason stepped closer, his eyes gentle. Saren, your worth isn't decided by one moment or one loss. You're more than what they told you. Saren closed her eyes, tears gathering at the edges. Then why do I still fear their judgment? Why do I feel like I must hide from them? Because they hurt you, Jason said softly. Pain leaves echoes, but echoes fade. Saren finally looked up, and her silver eyes glimmered with something fragile. Do you really believe I can build a new life? Yes, Jason said. And you don't have to do it alone. Saren felt her heart twist in a way she couldn't name. Later that night, she lay awake long after the lights dimmed. She thought about Jason's words, about the warmth in his voice, about how he never treated her like a burden. Slowly, she sat up. Her silver markings glimmered faintly, still dim, but brighter than the day Jason found her. She pressed her hand gently against her stomach. My child, she whispered. I wish you could see that I survived. A tear slid down her cheek. A soft knock pulled her from her thoughts. Saren, it's me, Jason called gently. Come in, she said, wiping her face. Jason stepped inside, holding a small metal device. I have something to give you. Saren tilted her head, curious. Jason sat on the edge of the bed. It's a life record crystal. Humans adapted it from your people's technology. You can store memories, messages, anything you want. Saren held the small device carefully. Why are you giving this to me? Because you lost something precious, Jason said softly. And I thought, maybe you would want a way to keep memories safe. Quote. Saren looked at him, her lips trembling. You think of things no one else has ever thought for me. Jason smiled gently. It's easy when someone matters. Her breath caught, her hands tightening around the device. Of course you do. Saren lowered her gaze, feeling warmth spread through her chest. Jason continued. You can record whatever you want. Maybe a message you wish you could have given your child. Or a message to your future self. Something that tells you that your story is still moving. Saren swallowed, overwhelmed. Jason, you give meaning to things I thought were lost forever. He placed a hand near hers, not touching, but close enough she could take comfort if she wished. You'll find new meaning too, he said, one step at a time. Saren looked at the device again, then whispered, Will you stay while I record something? Of course, Jason said. Saren held the life record crystal close. Her voice shook at first, but grew steadier. My little one, I hope wherever your light rests, you know I carry you in my spirit. I survived because someone gave me strength when mine was gone. And I will carry your memory into every sunrise. I will not let your existence disappear. Jason watched quietly, offering silent support. When Saren finished, she looked up with eyes full of emotion. I never thought I would speak those words. Not after being left alone. Jason softened. You weren't meant to be alone. Saren felt something shift inside her, a gentle but powerful release, like a chain breaking. Jason, she whispered. Thank you for giving me a way to honor my child. You honored them with your love, he said. This just gave you a voice to say it. Saren's breathing steadied as she placed the crystal beside her pillow. After a long silence, she whispered, Jason, what will happen to me now? I don't belong anywhere. You belong somewhere, Jason said without hesitation. And until you decide where you want to go, you can stay here. With us. With me. Saren looked at him slowly, her eyes wide with a quiet, rising emotion. With you, she repeated, almost like a prayer. Yes, Jason said softly. If you want that. Saren lowered her head, overwhelmed by how safe those words made her feel. I do want that, she whispered. Jason smiled, a smile full of warmth and reassurance. Then you're not lost anymore. A calm silence hugged the room. Saren breathed deeply, her spirit finally accepting something she had feared to believe. "I thought my story ended in the ruins," she murmured. "I thought I would be buried there." Jason touched the edge of her blanket gently. "But you're alive, and you have a future." Saren lifted her gaze, and her silver markings glowed faintly brighter. A new beginning. A quiet strength. A life rebuilt not by lineage, but by hope. "Jason," she whispered, "you carried me when I could not stand. You gave my heart a reason to live again. And you kept fighting even when everything felt lost," Jason replied. "That's something only you could do." Saren took a long, steady breath. "Then, this is not the end of my story. Then, in one. It's the beginning," Jason said. Her lips trembled into the smallest, most fragile smile she had ever made. "Maybe I am worthy of living. Maybe I am worthy of a future that grows from hope." "You definitely are," Jason said gently. Saren felt her chest warm fully this time, no fear, no shame, no darkness. Just a growing light she had thought she lost forever. "Jason," she whispered, "thank you for carrying not only my body, but my spirit too." Jason smiled softly. "You carried mine too, Saren. You just don't know it yet." Saren looked out the window at the rising morning light. Her story wasn't one of abandonment anymore. It was one of survival, of healing, of being seen, of a human who reminded her that worth is not measured by lineage, but by the courage to live again. And finally, she wanted to live.